My eyes flutter open like I'm a princess in a fairy tale, brain fuzzy with the confusion of having slept a long, unintended time. Where am I? My head pulses around a brain stuffed with cotton and my body feels weird. I'm not in pain, but I'm not entirely free from it either. I'm dwelling in a place between something's not right and it could be way worse. There's also an IV line in my right hand. What the? Am I in the hospital? I must be. I track the IV line to a bag of clear liquid hanging from a tall rod. It stands like a guard next to the bed, along with a couple of other machines, one of which appears to be tracking my heart rhythm and blood pressure. Two lines wave and bump across its black screen, flashing a set of rapidly rising numbers. I can't tell if they're good or bad. Doc would probably know. Wait, who's Doc? The thought appeared in my head, so sure and certain, but I can't attach a face to the name, or any context. I strain to remember, but nothing. Fear spikes in my stomach like the bottom line on the heart monitor. Why can't I remember? This Doc person or how I got here? What in the world happened to me? Why am I... You're awake. Thank God. My panic thoughts cut off. There's a man with thick black hair sitting next to the bed, holding my left hand in both of his. His eyes are red-rimmed with purple bruises underneath, as if he's been crying on top of not sleeping. Deep lines have creased his forehead. Worry? Or age? I can't be sure. But the extra lines and dark circles barely detract from the sharp symmetry of his face. And they don't make his silver eyes any less mesmerizing. He's still beautiful. And, unlike Doc, I recognize him in an instant. It's him. The boy my mother told me to stay away from. The boy she warned could ruin me.
There are a few tellings of the Hades and Persephone myth. Hades saw Persephone and fell in love with her in an instant. There has been much heated debate about whether an arrow from that rascal Cupid Eros Amor was involved since the beginning of the tale's retelling. There has been even more current debate about whether the underworld god's love was desire, obsession, or entitlement. Perhaps it was all three. In any case, Hades saw her, then conspired with Zeus to possess her. Maybe she was entrapped, or perhaps she was a gift, or possibly a payment of some godly sort. There are too many versions of her descent into the underworld to count. But however the story goes, she became his. And in almost every version of the myth, Persephone was incredibly unhappy with her sudden entrapment. But after a time, she came to love her black-hearted captor, and somehow they became one of the most surprising happily ever afters of all time. However, Galen Fairgood did not take the ending of this myth into full account when he named himself Hades, and renamed his beautiful prisoner Persephone. Percy, for short.
You're my husband?
The woman he nicknamed Percy back when she belonged to him stares up at him from the VIP suite's hospital bed, with her mouth hanging open. For a time, he had possessed her body and soul, refusing to consider or care about the ethics of doing so. She'd been Persephone to his Hades, a reluctant bride gifted to him. "Oh, blood, then." That had been his short answer to the few who dared to ask him about her sudden appearance in his life, including Percy herself. "You are blood, then. Your father gave you to me in exchange for his own life." And that had been his version of the Hades and Persephone story. Until now. There's no indignation or fury in her expression. Only surprise and confusion. Percy doesn't remember him.